was able to give us his time despite the short notice to speak with us on developments in this state. Meanwhile, with all that's happening, let's quickly just hear from the Commissioner. Hello, sir. Good morning.
Morning.
Quickly, I know you had told me earlier on that you have certain engagements and might not be able to give us all the time. But again, I'd like to say thank you for responding in very short notice.
Okay.
And let's start off with the groundbreaking that we had yesterday, or the foundation laying, if I put it that way, for the 20,000 house units by the governor. I mean, that project was flagged off. What's the idea behind the project, and what is the government looking at?
Well, as part of what is contained in the blueprint of His Excellency Sasinala Ifubara, promised Rivers people during his electioneering campaign that he will be providing affordable accommodation, affordable housing accommodation for low-income earners. And luckily, an estate developer, a company that is renowned, TAF Africa, had offered to provide at no cost to the government. What the government is barely doing is provide the land, and then they will bankroll the project.
So the company would be in charge of the funding of the project in its entirety. Is there a plan between the government and the company as regards to the rent payment structure? Would there be subsidized price? If the company, I mean, if I'm a company and I'm going to bankroll the whole project, I would want to make back my money and make some profit on top of it. So how is the government looking at managing that?
It's a PDP project, and of course, to whom much is given, much is expected.
Yes.
If a company deals owns and transfers, they will maintain certain standards to be able to attract, those who would love to occupy and own the structure. So I believe that they will be able to meet the level.
So we haven't had that conversation with the government now. The government hasn't had that conversation with the contractors before getting on the job to know, so we know what kind of people would be living in that place. I mean, I know you have said low-income earners, and the idea of a low-income earner, I mean, in Rivers State will be civil servants, artisans who earn as low as 50,000, as much as 100,000 as their salaries. So the government is saying when this project is done, people within that price range for monthly income would be able to comfortably afford a house in that area, either to rent or if they want to purchase.
If you listen to the word of the governor on the groundbreaking event, he clearly stated that it's not for big men. And it's also not where one big man will oppress so many for his family members. The standards that will be set will allow reach out to the needy.
All right, fantastic. All right, now that we have that, and some other questions we'd like to ask, I'd like to get into the agricultural sector. We had planned to have a conversation with you with regards to the budget when it was passed, but unfortunately that did not happen. Now that we have you, if you can tell us, before now, we had seen the governor visit the farm in our local government area, the Songhai farm, and now, has there been any new developments towards that direction, trying to revamp agriculture? Because for many people, the cost of food, and if you look at the new stats by the MBS, Rivers State is among the top 3 states where it's very expensive to live. And people think it shouldn't be so, because we have agriculture, we have land, we have, all of these things that would have made food very cheap. But then we buy at very exorbitant prices. What's the direction in that area for the government?
You recall that the governor personally visited the Songhai farm, which is one of the biggest farms on this part of the world. And the intention is to see how to rev up economic activities there, try to touch other farms, and then going to fishing. These are part of the good intentions of His Excellency. So I would expect that they have gone back to the drawing board, because this is a project that has been abandoned for close to a decade, and to put it on scheme would require to do quite a lot of, technical jobs, and that is what the intention of this government is.
Okay, and so in other words, we don't have a timeline as to when to expect work to begin there, or any other plans aside the Songhai farm that the government, the administration is putting on ground with regards to agriculture.
Sure. You know that there are parties of agri projects all over. There is the Go to Land project, a program that was through, the flagship of the Colonial Administration, and I'm sure that Excellency looking the way of agri will have been the reason why agri was coming on the 2024 budget.
Hello.
I'm hearing you.
Yes, okay. So talking about the budget, it brings us to this. I mean, we can't have this conversation and not also talk about the situation in the state politically. And many think it could have an implication on the growth rate or development rate of the state and the speed at which this administration would implement some of its plans and dividends of democracy. And it brings me to this. At the moment, what is the situation? Are there moves to fill up the assembly? I mean, that's if we're looking at the House members who have defected, and when the governor presented his budget to the Edison Ehe-led faction of the State House of Assembly, many still think that is a move that would prove difficult in the future. How is the state government handling this? What is the administration doing about this? Is it trying to get the House back together, or are we going to look at a situation where we have new members come into the House?
I'm sure that you know that we're facing a constitutional democracy. The Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in Section 109 1G clearly stated what should happen to the thing like what happened in the River State House of Assembly happened. So I don't know how we are going to bend rules because they are lawmakers and understand what the law is. Well, we'll talk about whether the impasse in the state is going to affect government. We get on the definition as to what happens in governance and what happens in party politics. We have finished party politics. What we are focusing on now is to give dividends of democracy to Rivers people. You will promise. Is a shared responsibility which government had pronounced, and I'm sure that you will not renege on the word.
And does that mean that all things are in order and peace is what we have between the former governor and the governor of Rivers State? Because, I mean, we know that we have heard the governor of Rivers State say it is a father and son issue. The minister remains his boss and his father politically, and there are no issues, and he has said he's not fighting anybody and has told nobody to fight anybody. Most recently, we saw the former governor at an event also saying peace is what is needed. But then the worry for Rivers people is, as much as all of this is being said, the actions that is being seen does not point towards that direction. Where do we stand with this, and how are there any moves to try and reconcile these differences?
Well, let me even commend the former governor who also is in sync with His Excellency Kasimira Ifuba, who is also been talking about peace will come. The Bible says we should pursue peace at all costs. So I don't see how anybody that is living will not want to, even the dead in the grave, will always want peaceful passage. So I want to think that peace will come.
All right. And for the commissioners who have resigned, when are we seeing new commissioners take those offices that have been left vacant?
It's a process. It's a process. They have just resigned. The last of which we heard was on Friday. Today is just the beginning of the week. Let's watch and see.
Watch and see, that would mean we hope to see changes in January, in February, or are there meetings being held with regards to who is replacing who and where and what, or we just wait?
It will come. Not too long from now, it will come.
All right. We're going to get to even more conversations, but quickly, let me just tell the listeners that you can join in. I'm speaking with the Commissioner for Information in Rivers State, Mr. Joe Johnson, via telephone this morning. And I'm sure you might have one or two questions you want to ask. The WhatsApp number is 0809 030 6416. Send in those questions. You can also join us live on Facebook at Nigeria Info 92.3 PH. Nigeria Info 92.3 PH on Facebook, where you can watch us live and drop your comments real time. You can also join on X, formerly Twitter, Nigeria Info PH. The phone lines will be coming up shortly, but that will be after we return from this short commercial. But before we get onto it, it's something I must ask. And it relates to the 20,000 units housing project. Now, besides that, we know that there is a Greater Port Harcourt plan. What is the government looking at the Greater Port Harcourt plan, and what is being done in that direction? Because for some people, there's not much been happening there, and it's relatively quiet, and the plans and hopes of that area was so high, and many thought it was going to be beyond what it is now, but that has not been the case. How is the administration looking at that?
But I've already said that before. But one of the bills to pass the parliament was the New Town Development Authority, which will cure the one city state of Port Harcourt or of Rivers State. And to say also that if that bill becomes an act of the assembly, Greater Port Harcourt will cease to function. It will be subsumed by the New Town Development Authority. And that one will help us create more cities and more modern cities and new towns. That's the intention of that bill. So, Greater Port Harcourt, yes, may not have been as effective as it ought to be, but there's a new sheriff in town, and I'm sure that the thinking of His Excellency in this whole arrangement of people having a ring road, you know that once roads are created, it will attract development. And part of what will attract people there will be the kind of business activity that will be on in those towns. And it attracts more people to have urban trips.
Okay, we'll take a very short commercial now, Commissioner. When we return, please, we'll continue on this thought, and you explain more to us the reason why perhaps there's going to be a flip with the idea behind the Greater Port Harcourt. And then a few more questions that we have on WhatsApp and Facebook. We'll just respond to some of those before we allow you go on with your day. Please stay on the line for us. We'll be back in less than 3 minutes. Now, in Nigeria Info, the conversation continues with the Honorable Commissioner for Information. I will be back in a matter of moments. Send us questions in. The WhatsApp number is 0809 030 6416.
Nigeria Info will be
is with us via telephone. Sir, thank you for staying on the line for us.
Thank you.
All right, let's just quickly get into. There's still a lot to talk about, by the way, but let's take a few questions on WhatsApp from the listener, and then we also open the phone line. The numbers to call are 0817-923-0003. Again, 0817-923-0003. You can also call 0817-923-0007. Let's get into this. Okay, this message says, please find out from the commissioner what's the position of the government towards fixing the road in Angbaraja, new road axis of Ada George. Thanks. Minima Priye sent that one in. Another person says, good morning to you and the commissioner. My question is to the commissioner, by the unstable body language of the government, do they have the guts or fiat not to pay the 27 members as they say their seat is vacant? Prince Mene. Another one here says, good morning. Please ask the commissioner if, when, and where we can get an e-copy of the 2024 budget. Text from Oyibo. I think you should respond to this quickly, the budget, because I was about to also ask if it was going to be something that's a public document for every Rivers person to access and look at. What's the situation with that?
Well, I'm sure that the position of His Excellency to make the budget open is quite salutary. I'm not too sure I was enjoyed this in the last decade, but to say where you can pick it up is a public document. When it goes into print, everybody will have it. But if you go online, you find the approved budget.
And then quickly, just so we are clear, for the executive arm of government, we know we have three arms of government: executive, the judiciary, and the legislature. And at the moment in Rivers State, all that's happening at the legislative arm of government. The executive arm of government, for the executive arm, has it recognized an official leadership of the State House of Assembly?
The law is very clear. No? The law is very clear. And whatever the law says is the position of the government. We are a law-abiding regime, and I want to believe that the position as canvassed by the law is what we stand by. There's no one that can say no, I'm going to operate my own law. The Constitution of the Republic of Nigeria is clear as to who is where and who should do what.
Okay. All right. So in other words, you're saying this is on the premise of this, that the government presented the budget before the Edison Ehie-led faction of the House.
Well, is that really a faction now? Is that really a faction? If you call it a faction, well, I don't know how.
But from the position of the state government, you can tell us so that we can work with that information and be clear and have it direct. Rivers people would then know.
Edison Ehie is the Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly. Pure ED.
Okay. Some more messages. Remember, the numbers to call are 0817-923-0007. 0817-923-0003. This one says, on the 20,000 housing units, please, when does the government believe the first residents are expected to move in? When they say low-income housing, if they have civil servants in mind, and do they believe that the houses would be available at the time? It also says, wouldn't it be wise to start the process of acquisition to civil servants far in advance to the expected date so as to forestall the need for some bad eggs to pressure and extort us? Michael from Okrika is asking, and this one says, please, what is the plan of the governor for the Eleme Igwe Road? That's also another question, and I'll just add this one to it before you respond. I want to know the position of this administration on the incessant school fees increase across the state tertiary institutions, especially the Rivers State University. I think this is quite important. Uche Biariko sent this one in. So what's the situation with the education sector? We know we don't have a commissioner for education at the moment. What's the situation with that school fees increase or tuition fees increase?
I'm not aware of any increase. If there is any, I'm not aware. And I know that we operate a free, tuition-free system. So who is talking about increase? Is there an increase? I'm not aware.
All right. Should students also expect bursary from this administration? Because that's one thing that's been talked about quite a lot, bursary. And the last administration, that did not happen for them, as well as scholarships. We had some from the last administration, but the scholarship was mostly local here in the state. Is that the same route that this administration would follow? Are we going to see children sent abroad to study in important courses that would help benefit the economy of Rivers State?
If you are taking a deeper reflection on the budget, you see that there's a shift.
Hello.
So, do more human capital development.
Honorable Commissioner, we can barely hear you. I think we're having interference with the service provider. I don't know whether it's from your end or ours, but it would be great if you can hear me. Perhaps you just change your location a little bit and hopefully it becomes better. Hello. I think we'd have to reestablish contact. We can barely hear what the commissioner is saying at the moment, so we'll just have to call him back. In the meantime, let's hear from Braid. Braid is in Transamadi. Braid, you're welcome. Good morning to you. Quickly, your contribution. If you have a question you could ask, we'll just jot it down and try to reestablish contact with the commissioner.
The Honorable Commissioner.
All right, good morning.
My name is Chief Comrade Tayen Braid. My question is this. Let us look at River State Sustainable Development. And you know that agency has been pronounced disbanded by the former governor. What is this current administration is doing about that?
Which agency, and please, also, Braid?
Hello?
Come again with the question, please.
Yes, the question is this. River State Sustainable Development agencies were disbanded by the former administration. And that is why nothing is going on concerning sustainable development. And also, River State Road Management Authority were also disbanded. And also, demonstration school and polytechnic lecturers. What is this current administration is doing? Because this is an administration that were totally supported by the masses. And some of them are in the court with the government. What is the current governor is doing about those things? And also, the last but not the least, the Calabari Road, Calabari, Buguma, Emoha, Abonima Road. The road is so narrow, very narrow, because of that pavement or at the center. And you know that the flash point where there is any kidnapping issue, no motor can quickly meander. So it's really a nightmare to me. Let the governor take a critical look on this that very road and see how he could be able to dualize it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Letambari, good morning.
Good morning, Andrew.
You're welcome, Letambari.
Good morning to the commissioner.
Go ahead.
Yes. Mine is a little contribution and question. I see that Governor Simpobra has tried so much, even in the area of promoting the civil servant and increasing their salaries. But there is one area that's still lacking, which is in the hands of the fellow. The local government workers are still lying low. Nothing is being done. I want to ask the commissioner, what is the governor planning as regards to this in order to alleviate the suffering of the local government workers?
Hello, Mufasa. I think Letambari will go interrupted. Go ahead.
My greetings to the Honorable Commissioner. I want to find out things from the Commissioner because, the 20,000 housing units, though he has made certain comments about it, but there is this talk I'm hearing that the units will be for civil servants alone. I equally would need further clarification on that. Then secondly, Andrew, recently we started seeing that most of the roads in Port Harcourt, they are fully lighted up. the street lights are now beginning to work. We're now seeing, the nights are getting brighter. But I also want to find out, because people feel that it's because of the Christmas that is coming, the festivity. Is it something that will last beyond this festive period? Are we going to be having lights on our roads continuously in the life of this administration? Then my last question, Andrew, is the activities of land grabbers. People are complaining about, these land speculators coming to acquire land from the people. We are complaining that we need lands to farm. So is the River State government going to look into that sector, that people will just come into a community and acquire land, and the next thing you see people, building and all of that? So these are my questions for the Honorable Commissioner.
All right, okay, we'll have to direct to him. Just so you know, we're trying to reestablish contact with him. It's been really hectic trying to getting that through because of the situation with the service providers at the moment. But these questions are noted, and he's also listening to the conversation right now live. Cookie Gam is in Rumolumeni. Cookie Gam, good morning.
Andrew, good morning.
You're welcome. All right, just hold on, Cookie Gam. Hold on, Cookie Gam. I have the Commissioner back with us live. Hello, Honorable Commissioner, sir. We've been trying to get back to you. Thank you for joining us again. Plenty of questions have been asked. If we can I'll just relay them to you so we get your response to them. Okay. I think some of them has had to do with the Sustainable Development Plan in Rivers State. That's one of the questions that's been asked. Some people have also raised questions about the provisional wage increase for civil servants in Rivers State. There's also the employment, the 10,000 employment that was promised by the past administration. Whether this administration will carry on with that is a big question. And at the moment, we also have a caller on the line who has a question to ask. So we'll just let him ask that question so you respond to all of them at once to the best of your ability. Cookie Gam in Rumolumeni, quickly, let's hear from you.
Andrew, good morning, sir. Andrew, I want to ask you just one question. And yesterday we saw judgment online yesterday. The court judgment that was showed online that should have been today on the 18th that said the court of Abuja has given an order for assembly to impeach the current governor. I don't know how that judgment come about. Let's deliver that judgment, whether it is fake or people are paying from backyard. Post online today about the judgment that moved to impeach the governor by the matter with a failed assembly. Thank you, Andrew. Good morning.
Cookie Gam, thank you. Good morning. We know that officially we haven't heard any of those comments officially or any of those. I don't know if any of those orders have been given by any court or any of those prayers have been submitted before any court. But we know that a document has been flying online speaking about what you just raised. But whether it's been verified is a different conversation. Now, Akanto is in Bori. Quickly, Akanto.
Good morning, Andrew.
Yes, go ahead, Akanto.
The Honorable Commissioner that is hearing us on the telephone. Well, I want to ask, I know that the governor is coming for sustainability, and that is why the majority of River State is behind the marriage Fubara overwhelmingly. And I want to put it as this question, sir. Yes, I know that the Bori internal, I'm from Bori or Kana local government, and the Bori internal is calculated in a 2024 budget. That one, I know that it's okay. But this Boris Sakewa roster, I want to ask, the previous administration has abandoned the elimination of that route from Sakewa to Kono Waterside. Sir, is the present administration, who all of us, including me, are supporting, can they sustain lightening of that particular aspect of the route? And again, sir, secondly, Bori internal roads captured 23 roads and street, 23 roads and street. And the Bori internal road is beyond 23 roads and street. Sir, can we have phase 2 after this phase 1 or to phase 3? Because Bori is a very huge community. That is my question. God bless.
All right, Akanto, thank you very much. But another question is, for internal roads, shouldn't that be the Department of Local Government Councils? I'm just asking, I'm just saying. Let's get over to the Commissioner. Honorable Commissioner, thank you. It's been quite, at least we tried to reestablish contact. We've had issues with the service provider. Thank you for being patient. I was trying to relay some of the questions that had been asked by a few of the listeners, and I'll try to just put 2-3 of them across and you get your response. The Rivers State Sustainable Development Agenda, that's one, and the provisional wage increase for civil servants and civil servants employment, the 10,000 civil servants employment that was promised under the past administration. Let's start with those two. Where is this administration at with regards to those?
The issue of the 10,000 employment, went ahead to say that we are almost at the finishing end, trying to cut the T's and dot the I's. So I would expect that is what more than that His Excellency is not a man of party. He says and he sticks to his word. So anything he says, you can take it to the bank. On which is the other case, I can't remember.
The Rivers State Sustainable Development Agenda, which many think wasn't looked at properly under the past administration. Is that something that this government is looking at resuscitating and sticking with strictly?
You know that project, the Rivers State Sustainable Development Agenda, was tied to the Sunrise Farm and all the other investment opportunities of the state. Now that this government is trying to revamp most of the moribund facilities, and I'm sure that will be part of what will put that one just back to life. So that's the hope that we hope to enjoy going forward.
And then, are there any plans with regards to bringing in foreign investments? Because the stats with regards to foreign investments in Rivers State isn't really very favorable when we look at how many companies came into the state in the past couple of years. We know that we had a few malls that came into Rivers State and opened up, but for some people, we should be having more. Instead, we even have some companies that had to leave the state. What's the plan with trying to change that narrative?
I recall that on page 5 of the blueprint of His Excellency, it talked about reindustrialization. It talked about reindustrialization of the moribund industries. And most of the industries were talking about Michelin and all those industries that provided employment opportunity for Rivers State. So those industries must come when you must have foreign investors coming to run them. You know, the West African glass industry and all the other industries revoked that belong to Rivers State government. You need the experts to come and help, jack them back to life. That's the thinking of this government. So he has that intention, and he clearly stated in his blueprint.
But we didn't hear much about the cassava plant. When that came up, a lot of people were excited, especially with the breweries company we have here in the state, and the fact that some of the raw materials from that natural produce is needed largely for the activities of that brewery. Local farmers, everyone, etc., were excited about it. But so far, so good. Not much is known or heard about the situation at the cassava plant. Go ahead, sir.
You know that is all encompassing. If we talk about agri, we're looking at everything that put us on a high agricultural corridor. And if that is anything to go by, it would mean that everything that Hitato didn't work, our intention is to ensure that it comes back to stream.
Does that include the monorail refinery? The monorail, I beg your pardon, sorry.
Which one is monorail?
Not the refinery. I mean the monorail project that was started by the former transport.
That monorail is part of agri.
No, it's not. But then you're saying if you're trying to look at projects that have been on that are economically viable, and that was one that was seen to be economically viable.
No, I'm not talking about monorail, please. I'm talking about agri. And I talked about the farms and all the lands. There are quite a number of other areas. And even our local farmers, the government has also promised to try to inject life into them. So one would expect that the agri industry will be able to give us food security.
Okay. All right, let's take 2 more calls and then we wrap things up. Muriel is in Okrika. Quickly.
What is happening now, I call it a breath of fresh air. I always call it that because we never had it like this. Commissioners is assessing with their people directly. I don't know if those people were scared of communicating. Now, I know that the governor, before he started this project, he had his workers, the civil servants in mind, especially the low ones, the junior staff. Please, I want to plead, when this project is completed, they should ensure a way that a very transparent way in all the ministries that junior staff can be able to access these houses. Very transparent process, maybe in a balloting in all the ministries, to ensure that this is very important for the CMA. And they should not forget the houses, the projects, this kind of project that were carried out by the farmers, especially those delivery periods. Those houses in towns, the CMA, those houses are so beautiful, but right now at the service town, they should ensure that those houses are being rehabilitated, refurbished, and properly allocated the CMA. And the local government chairman should be charged with one responsibility of trying as much as they can. So look for means to improve the agricultural output in their areas. If they can be given that one responsibility, you see that the cost of living in River State will drastically reduce. In my community, fish and seafood, oysters, pellicles can be
all right, Muriel.
to work on all the local government chairmen. This is very, very important to me.
Thank you very much, Muriel. Let's quickly hear from Temple in Echie. Temple, quickly, so we wrap up.
Very important, very important. I want to quickly ask the Honorable Commissioner. Looking at the government of SARS, in which I think is people's-oriented, who is geared towards trying to create a job and also venture into human capacity development. The question might be very controversial, but it's very important. Does the Honorable Commissioner, does he have any intention of throwing the towel, or is he going to continuously tie the towel in making sure that this government move forward? Distinguished Andrew. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. All right, over to you now, Honorable Commissioner. Sir, he's asking whether we have many commissioners resigning. Should we expect any, or are you sticking till the end?
I don't have any power to throw in. I do not intend to, and it has never been in my thought process.
Right, and so in other words, we should not be worried about the political situation. It has nothing to do with this government. It will not affect development.
It will not affect development. You can see that we've been up and run activities already. On Friday, you recall that we were at the groundbreaking ceremony, and quite a number of other things are lined up. Rivers people should be rest assured. All you can do is continue to intercede for the government, wait for His Excellency Sasinela Ifubara. Let God see.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Joe Johnson, Honorable Commissioner for Information in Rivers State. It's been great having you on the show this morning. We hope to discuss some more in the future. My name is Ifeami Andrew. Hello, Port Harcourt is next, and Jude is already standing by. I'm sure you'll have a great time. Good morning, and compliments of the season again.
Welcome to Modelo Hotels and Suites, where elegance meets serenity.